Hello friends, welcome to our new video. In today's video, we are going to explain a romantic drama movie. In this movie, we will see an old man who is a thug. Because he was not married yet. That's why he always used to see girls in his phone. And he always wished that he would become young again. One day when he was having fun with a girl. Then that girl tells him that she knows about a medicine. Which can make him young again. Now that man starts looking for that medicine. And finally he gets that medicine. As soon as he takes this medicine, he becomes handsome and young again. And fulfills all his wishes. But what happens next, we will see in this movie. So let's start this movie. The story begins in a big city. Here we are shown an old man whose name is Gary. Gary is a photographer. But along with this he was a thug. And he used to sit in his shop and just keep looking at the photos of girls all day. One day a girl comes to him. And she tells him that she wants to take a passport-size photo. Hearing this, Gary takes her out of the changing room. And then he goes out. After Gary's departure, that girl starts changing her clothes. But Gary quietly watches her changing her clothes. But soon that girl finds out about Gary's behavior. After this, she creates a lot of commotion in Gary's shop. She shouts at Gary a lot. And she leaves here after abusing him a lot. There was a salon shop just next to Gary's shop. And the owner of this shop is a man named Lee. And he tells him that we have become old. And we should not think like this about girls. But Gary does not consider himself old. That's why he thinks Lee's words are useless. At night, Gary comes to his house. And he was on his phone. And he was watching his favorite actress's movie. But it was an adult movie. Watching that video, Gary's body gets on fire. After this, he shows his strength of hand. And cools himself. We see that Gary is still single. And he is not married yet. Because he does not have a good house. Because he is not married, he used to think only about girls. Next day, a boy comes to Gary's shop. And he takes his photos in different poses. After this, he sees Gary's photos. Then he remembers something. And he says, "You are the most infamous photographer of this city. And girls have beaten you many times. Many times you have survived even by going to jail." Gary feels ashamed here. But he ignores his words. After this, that boy gives him money and takes his photos. After that, he comes to Lee Gary. And he says that there is a new club in our city. Where many girls do anything with money. We should go there once. After hearing Lee's words, Gary agrees. After this, he comes to the new club at night. And he drinks a lot here. At the same time, a girl comes and sits next to Lee. And that girl was very beautiful. Her name was Susie. Gary's feelings start awakening after seeing Susie. And the most interesting thing was that Susie was also looking at him. After a while, we see Susie. Who has come to Gary's house. And Gary is making her a horse and making her run. For this, Gary gave her money. Gary uses all his strength here. But nothing special was happening to him. After failing in the mission, Gary talks to Susie. Gary asks her, "How did you feel about me?" Susie first makes fun of him. But she says later, "I have heard about a medicine. Which makes old people young. And that medicine is also available in our city. But where do I get it? I don't know." After hearing this, Gary gets confused. And now Gary wanted that medicine. After a few days, a model's photo was being shot in a new building. Gary also reaches here and takes her photos. And this new model was very beautiful to see. After seeing this beautiful girl, Gary's mouth starts watering. Meanwhile, the model's manager comes here. And he stops these people from taking photos. Because the model had to do makeup at this time. All the photographers stop listening to him. And the makeup man starts doing the makeup of the model. Gary comes to the model as soon as he gets a chance. And he asks her name. And the makeup man goes to get more things. And Gary gets a chance to talk to the model. And he starts talking to her. And Gary comes close to her. And the model says, "My rate is very high. And I only let rich people touch me. And they have very big cars. You are a very poor person. And you are also old." After hearing this, Gary gets very angry. And he comes in anger and starts strangling her. And the makeup man comes here. And he saves the model. And the model's manager comes here and beats Gary a lot. These people beat Gary a lot. And he is thrown out of here. After getting beaten so badly, Gary gets even more angry. And now he wanted to beat that manager. But he himself could not do this. Because he was very old. He starts roaming around in anger. While roaming around, he sees a pharmacy. Seeing this medical store, he remembers Susie's words. After this, he goes to that pharmacy. A woman was sitting here. Gary goes to her. And he says, "I want a medicine that gives me power like a horse." But that woman says to him, "I don't have any such medicine." Hearing this, Gary gets sad. And he starts laughing. Then a woman comes out of the room. And she stops him here. That woman's name was Lisa. She thinks Gary is some other man. And she says to him, "Your boss called me. This medicine will make your old boss young. Because I have made it with very special herbs. But you tell your boss that the use of this medicine is very dangerous. If he takes this medicine, then he can die." Gary understands after hearing Lisa's words that Lisa is thinking him as some other man. That's why he was listening to her. But he wanted this medicine. That's why he comes to his house with that medicine. When he was lying in his bed, then he remembers Susie's words. Then he mixes that medicine in water. And then he drinks the whole glass. After taking this medicine, Gary goes to sleep. Next morning, Gary wakes up and washes his face. When he sees his face in the mirror, he gets very surprised. That medicine had shown its power. And Gary had become young in one night. Gary always wanted this. And he gets that medicine, with which he can fulfill his wish. Then someone comes to his door. Hearing the sound of someone coming to the door, then he opens the door and sees Lee in front of him. Lee asks him, "Who are you? And where is my photographer friend?" Young Gary tells him, "I am your friend's relative. And your friend has gone out for a few days." After hearing that, Lee leaves. After a while, a model's photo shoot was going on in a big building. Then Gary also comes here with his camera. Afraid of people. When he comes in front of them, they get very surprised. And tells them that he is a new photographer. And I also want to click some photos of this model. Gary had become very handsome. So when that model listens to Gary, she allows him to click her photo. This new model's name was Mary. She gets very impressed by Gary's youth. After this, she calls Gary to her house. Slowly, Gary's life had changed a lot. And now he could attract any girl. After this, he has many affairs with many girls. He was taking this medicine in between, so that his youth could be maintained. And no one could stop him. After a few days, Gary comes to a party with Mary. There were many girls in this party. After seeing all these beautiful girls, Gary gets greedy. But in this party, a girl was sitting separately. After this, Gary comes to her. He comes here and talks to her. He tells her his name. After this, he asks her name. And this girl's name was Natasha. She also gets attracted to him after seeing Gary. And Gary also liked that girl very much. After this, Gary goes to her house. And he does all-night activities with her. The next morning, when Gary wakes up, he sees in the mirror that he has become old again. Natasha was still sleeping. After this, he leaves her in sleep. And he goes to the pharmacy, from where he took the medicine. He wants to meet Lisa, while talking to the girl sitting in the shop. As soon as Gary sees a box, he picks it up. Then Lisa comes here. And she explains to him that there is no medicine in it. But Gary doesn't listen to her, because he wanted to look young. Lisa wanted to take the box from him. In the meantime, a fight starts between them. And Gary kills him and runs away. After this, he comes back to his house. As soon as he comes back, he opens the box. There was only a little medicine. He is very surprised to see it. But Gary wanted to look young. After this, he puts his face in the box and starts licking the medicine, so that he becomes young again. And while licking the medicine, he falls asleep. The next day, when Gary wakes up, he sees that he has become young again. After this, he gets ready and comes to Natasha's house. Here they enjoy the whole day. The next day, when Gary wakes up, he has a severe headache. And he sees that Natasha has left. He gets up from his bed. And he starts looking for Natasha. While looking for Natasha, he goes to the bathroom. There he sees an old woman. When Gary asks her who she is, she says that she is Natasha. Hearing this, Gary is very surprised. Natasha is very happy. Hearing this, Gary is very surprised. Natasha tells him that she has become young after taking medicine. But yesterday, someone killed the person who made the medicine. Because of which, I don't have that medicine today. Hearing this, Gary is very surprised. Because he killed Lisa in the game. Then Gary also suddenly becomes old. Seeing this, Natasha is very surprised. In the last scene of the movie, we are shown these two people die here. Because they both took the overdose of the medicine. Lisa had told them before giving the medicine that the overdose of this medicine will kill them. And this is what happens. They both die here. And this movie ends here. If you like this movie, then do give a like. And for more videos like this, do subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.